But as Democrats, one of the reasons we lose elections is because people will say, you know, generally I agree with the Democrats on most of those issues. Maybe not everything that I just mentioned, but most of the people in Minnesota are with us on those core issues. Why do we keep losing this governor's race? Stop and think about it, folks. Last 3 races, what has happened? There's been an independent who sat in that race. Jesse Ventura, Tim Penny, Peter Hutchinson. Good people all, totally different reasons, but they said the same thing. They said, you know what, I agree with the Democrats on most of the issues, but you cannot trust Democrats to run government. They're going to tax the heck out of you. Don't give them the purse strings because they can't run government. And you know what? If we run the same old candidates this time, we'll have the same old debate. We have wonderful people running, but if we go into this election and we're back in that same discussion, we could lose that election, and shame on us. One of the things I offer as a candidate for governor is that I have a better record of managing government and managing the finances than any independent or Republican they can put up. And by the way, one of the heroes of this is sitting in this audience, Tara Bernack, the city's budget director for many years, now works at the state. How many budgets have I done with you, Tara?
I think the last time you said it was about 9?
About 9 budgets, okay?
6 years?
I walked in as a rookie mayor right after 9/11. Tara and her partner Tammy Amdahl sat me down, Pat Bourne, they explained the fact that we had a city in a fiscal crisis. And bit by bit, budget by budget, dollar by dollar, we got this city back on strong financial footing. And we're only able to weather the ridiculous roller coaster of financial cuts from the state because we have been on strong fiscal turf. Now, I'm a Democrat. I'm a progressive Democrat. I'm a Democrat who believes in investing. But I'm also a Democrat who is the toughest fiscal manager in this race, either party. And that we are going to run the government well. And that's a Democratic message and a progressive message. And if that becomes our progressive message, we win an election, but more important, we turn a state around and we make sure that once and for all, those of us who believe in investing are also the ones who know how to manage government. Now, this statistic is not going to be on my tombstone, but during the time I've been in office, we've paid down $117 million in debt. During the time I'm in office, thank you for the debt constituency down there. I like that. Boo debt, exactly. During the time Tim Pawlenty and I have been in office, state spending has gone up at least 8 times faster than city spending. I'm the fiscal manager in this race, and I won't let any Republican or any Democrat redefine, or any independent, was what I meant, redefine what Democrats are about. So what I offer is a chance to win an election and to turn this state around. Now, what do we have to do? We have to, first off, make sure we're a brain power state. I mentioned that. That means we're going to have to reform school financing, but it's more than that. It says that we're not just going to measure a narrow portion of what a kid is. We're going to open up the scope from No Child Left Behind and really measure the full kid. So when we look across at an arts magnet across the street, we know that that's not on a No Child Left Behind measurement, but we know this community is better because of the arts, and we know the elementary music program they teach across the street helps open the brains of non-traditional learners to learn math and science. And if you want engineers and mathematicians in Minnesota, you go across the street and you invest in the arts program and the elementary music. I will defend a much more holistic way of educating our kids, and we're going to have to do that. But I'm going to tell you something else. Don't just expect us to walk into our schools and hand them our kids and say, hey, teacher, send me my kid back 13 years after you've raised him. Schools don't raise kids. Parents raise kids. Families raise kids, communities raise kids. Every part of Minnesota has to be part of the new brain power state. So that means we're going to invest in early childhood, we're going to invest in quality out-of-school time, programs like the Minneapolis Promise that have put summer jobs and got kids into college, programs like our youth violence prevention work. All of this is about all of us being part of that. So anybody in this room who thinks, hey, schools aren't about me, it's about every one of us. And we're going to push back on community and say we're all part of the brain power state. We're going to take charge of health care, and we're going to do a lot to cover everybody. But we're also going to try to reform that system, because too much of that system goes to administration and to procedure and profit, and not enough to prevention and upstream care. And we're going to take charge of all sorts of things, including the idea that each of us has a responsibility to not just sit on the couch and eat nachos and expect the rest of us to make everyone healthy. Prevention is a key part. I'm sorry. If I'm paying for your health care, we're going to work together to be healthy, right? Don't expect me to go easy on this, all right? So that's the point we have to do, folks, is that government is not going to run our lives. We are about responsible Minnesotans stepping up and doing what we do. I believe in an activist government, but I don't believe in a nanny state. I believe parents have a responsibility. I think we have a responsibility for our health, and that is a progressive democratic message, and too often, I think as progressives, we lose track of that message. So I want to talk about a lot of things, but more than anything else, I want to finish with this, and if you want to have Q&A, that's fine, it's up to you guys. But I want to finish with this, and it's the core value that I think makes me a progressive and a Democrat and a Minnesotan. And it's a value that I think we've lost at the state capitol. We have a governor right now who believes that in tough times we should divide ourselves. Winners and losers, us versus them, and that's been the through line through this entire administration. Well, I'm tired of that. And that's not the value I grew up in. I come from immigrants, okay? They helped found the town of New Prague. 3 generations doing small businesses in a small town, and they did great things. And then my father was the first in my family to get to go to college, and the university was more affordable, and we're going to work on that affordability of college. And he put himself through college, and other people in his family. He opened a corner drugstore. He died when I was a kid. My mom ran that drugstore, and I am from very tough people. But not one of those stories, and not one of the stories in this room from any of you, is about tough people doing it alone. We're Minnesotans, and in tough times, we come together. And I've seen that firsthand. When that bridge collapsed in our town, we had a choice. People in Minneapolis and people in Minnesota had a choice in the worst of times to run away from the catastrophe or run to help. There was no question where people from this community went. They ran to help. That is the value that is at the core of what Democrats are, Minnesotans are, and we as a people are. I will not ever again tolerate our state being run by people who try to divide us in a crisis. We are in a crisis, folks, and I'm going to ask you to do more. I'm going to ask you to step up and invest. I'm going to ask you to step up and sacrifice. I'm going to ask you to step up and have the joy of campaigning, because this is going to be the most fun election we ever had. And we're going to wake up on Election Day with a better Minnesota where we all come together, and then the real work and the real fun begins. So drink up, folks, because we're going to have a good time. It will be liberal, but it will be goodwill. Thank you very much.